The Spurs finally figured out how to use Jeremy Sochan properly.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs, right here on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. Happy Friday, everybody. Hope you are having a great end of the work week. And thanks for joining us here on Locked On Spurs, your first and only spot for all things silver and black. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel when you place your first $5 bet. You get started with a $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. What are we talking about today? We're going to be discussing Jeremy Sochan, if the Spurs are finally starting to use him properly. No, the whole point guard thing didn't work out. But now it's in the preseason, you're starting to see him be a lot more effective on the court. We're going to be discussing that and then get to your comments, fan comments. You guys are leaving them. Can you believe the regular season's already here? Yeah. And I am excited, and you guys are talking about that over at the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. Subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Ken's 5 Plus app. The list goes on and on. And in case you can't tell, yes, I am under the weather. I've been battling a bad cold in the last 2 days, and it just happened to coincide with the last two guests that they could not do videos because they were at work, so they couldn't get on camera. So I was hoping today to end out the week I can get back on camera, but no, cannot. I am sick, as you can hear. I am really, really sick. Don't want to see snot hanging out everywhere, baggy eyes and bloodshot eyes everywhere. No. I ain't gonna do that, everybody. So forgive the audio only one more time. Hopefully I'll be better by come Monday, because the Spurs regular season is right around the corner. I can't miss opening night, or at least a home opener in San Antonio. But yeah, we're going to be discussing Sohan. And let's go and get things started. Let's go to bring in our guest. He is Mike Jimenez. Where's Mike Jimenez? There's Mike Jimenez. Come on board, Mike. Where are you?
What's going on, my man? How you doing?
Man, I am under the weather. I am sick. I got a bad cold.
Sorry to hear that, my man. It's the change of the seasons, man, but at least it's cool outside these days.
Yeah. I wonder if it coincided with that. I think somebody had it at the recent Comic-Con. I think somebody must have had it, and I caught it. That's the only thing I can think of right now. What happened there, because I love cold weather. I survived it for nearly 20 years in New York City, and I never got this sick during the colder months or days in New York. But so I suspect somebody got it. But look, nevertheless, glad you're here, Jimenez, and he is with the Animal City Sportscast on YouTube. Make sure to talk. We're going to talk about that in a while, and then go subscribe to it on YouTube. Let's dive into this. And you brought up a good topic on your show recently. I thought it deserves a second look. And that is Sohan. Everybody associates you and Sohan. They do. When it comes to Sohan, if it's some trash talk, everybody looks your way. And you're not trash talking him lately because you feel perhaps the Spurs are using him properly. What do you mean by that?
Well, we saw Sohan come out of the gate struggling, right? He's a fan favorite already. I get that, right? He's a lovable character and all that stuff. But, when you look at his stat line, fact of the matter is that offensively, he's a bottom 15 percentile shooter. And we knew that he wasn't a shooter coming out of Baylor. And I struggled to embrace Jeremy Sochan as a Spurs fan because Pop wasn't using him the right way. Pop was trying to experiment with him, put him at point guard, which hurt his feelings, if you will, his confidence a little bit. After a while, and that didn't work out well. And it was difficult for me to embrace Jeremy Sochan. And I've always begged, can we please use Jeremy Sochan in a way that goes towards his strengths? It was always, let's experiment with him, right? Let's try to turn him into the next Kawhi. Let's see if he can bring the ball up the court. Let's do all that, as opposed to doing what got him drafted in the NBA in the lottery in the first place, which is doing the little things, getting rebounds, banging bodies down low, finishing breaks, and things like that. And we've been seeing that type of play in the preseason, and in fact, in the game against the Miami Heat, he had 0 3-point attempts. He had 18 points, 11 rebounds. And if I'm going to get that type of consistency from Jeremy Sochan at a good clip, at a high shooting percentage, because it's within 5 to 10 feet, I want that all day, every day for the Spurs. And I'm tired of the experimenting. Just get him what he's good at, and I'll be happy.
Yeah, let's look at his preseason numbers here, and they're pretty good. In 4 preseason games, 13.5 points per game, about 67% shooting, 33% for the 3 line, but as mentioned, Jimenez, you said, hey, look, don't, if that's not your strength, don't go to it. And then there's 2 assists per game and 7 rebounds per game and a steal per game. And, you look at his free throw shooting, 50%, but he went back to the two-handed free throw. We'll see if that continues because 50% ain't going to cut it. Yeah, look, you're not asking Sohan to be the next Steph Curry. You're not asking him to be, that consistent threat. If he's just that irritant on the court, if he can just clean up the mess, set good screens, give you double figure scoring as he has in the preseason, we're fine. We're fine. Could you consider him one of the guys to watch as far as having a breakout season, though?
Most definitely. And I think it's because he has slightly better players around him. We talk about Jeremy Sochan being the guy that does the little things, but the little things count when you have good players around you. They don't count as much, if you will, when there's not a lot of talent. But you bring a Wemby in there, you bring a more competent point guard in a Chris Paul, a more dynamic player out there in athleticism with Stephon Castle. What it does do is that it makes the defense focus on other people, which allows Sohan to kind of fly under the radar and do the dirty things, do the dirty work, get the rebounds, get the 50-50 balls and things like that. I think we could have a breakout year, but it's one of those things where I don't want it to be a breakout year simply because his stats went up. I want it to be a breakout year simply because they used him the right way. I fear that the first 2 seasons, they kind of mismanaged Jeremy Sochan, and that's no fault of his own. He's not the one coaching. He's not the one putting up the game plan. I kind of feel like they misused him a little bit. And what I fear is that there's going to be people who are going to look at him improving and think that this is the genius of Pop, when really it's just simply could be a factor of him actually just playing his true position and doing what he does best, which is what they should have been doing in the first place.
Yeah. The whole point guard experiment was just, a debacle. I was there at that post-practice media session where it finally got to him, where he let off an F-bomb and everything. And they wouldn't wait for it. It's good. Look, and there was no excuse for the Spurs to go back to that this year. They got enough guards. They got enough. They can, from Castle to Chris Paul, Trey Jones, Blake Wesley, they're fine. I don't see that happening. And I think that's going to benefit him. He's not going to get into his head as we saw last year. He's going to be comfortable. He's going to prove why he was a top 10 pick. He went number 9, right, overall?
Number 9.
Yeah, he's a number 9 pick in his draft class. He's going to start. I think he's going to start looking like a top 10 pick that he is. But the question still remains, though. This team is still in rebuild mode. Is he still a tradable asset, Jimenez?
Well, I think anybody on this team not named Wemby is a tradable asset. I mean, that's just it. The Spurs don't necessarily have the greatest roster of all time. I was taking a look at ESPN analytics and predictions. They predict that the Spurs have only a 1% chance of finishing in the top 6, making the playoffs. They say the Spurs have less than a 3% chance of being in the top 10 in the conference when it comes to making the play-in tournament, a 3% chance. So that hurt my feelings. And then people kept on asking me the question, well, name the 5 teams they're going to leapfrog in the West to make it happen. And it's a little bit difficult because you look at teams like Dallas and Houston and Oklahoma City, and you look at teams like Denver and New Orleans, and you look around and you go, wow, they're a lot more talented than the Spurs are this year. So if the Spurs are going to do better this year, and if Sohan's going to be part of that growth, it's going to be because several players took a leap. It's going to be because the team stayed healthy. It's going to be because this team will win those games down the stretch, those 2 or 3 point games, 1 possession games. I'm excited about the Spurs this season. I'm not going to jump on Team Tank yet, but if the Spurs start the season 5-15, 3-12, you'll be hearing me on Twitter and all the social medias advocating for Team Tank and be Team Cooper Flag at that point.
Yeah, there's going to come a point to the season where there's not even a play-in within grasping. You're kind of going back to being the middling team if you do that. And we're going to be gunning for the play-in, you're stuck in the middle. Gunning for the play-in, you're stuck in the middle. So I think with this team still being in a rebuild, you either got to be really good or really bad. And it gets to the point where they got to be really bad, so be it. They're sitting pretty no matter what in the upcoming draft, no matter what. Guys, sometimes intimate moments happen spontaneously, and we always want to be ready so we can perform in the bedroom. Hims provides access to treatments that can help you stay hard and last longer, giving you that boost of confidence so you can be ready whenever the mood strikes. Hims is changing men's healthcare by providing you with access to affordable sexual health treatments from the comfort of your couch. Hims provides access to a range of doctor trusted ED treatments like chewables, hard mints, and Viagra and Cialis, and their generics for up to 95% cheaper. The process is 100% online. There's no need for you to go to and have those uncomfortable doctor visits. No insurance is needed. One low price covers everything from treatments to ongoing care. With hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, Hims can help you find the ED option that works for you. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/lockedon. That's HIMS.com/lockedon for your personalized ED treatment options. hims.com/lockedon. The products mentioned are chewable compounded products which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Prices vary based on product and subscription plan.
This is Emilio Rivera, El Padrino for the Mayans MC. You are listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
If they play well, they get their pick, they got Atlanta pick, they're going to get multiple first round picks. I think they're going to be fine in such a deep draft. But you're right. If there's a point where the season's getting away from them, that has to be on the table. But going back to Jeremy Sochan, though, we talked about this in a previous Lockdown Spurs about what one thing he has to improve on, his shooting. So he just mentioned his 3-point shooting, not the greatest so far in preseason. Should we just abandon that hope that he'll become just a decent outside shooter? And I'm not expecting him to be Curry. I expected him to be anybody else. Even just a mid-range game, I'll be fine with that. But is it time just to abandon that and let him just be that Draymond Green that cleans up the glass, gets those second chance points, drives the rim, gets to the free throw line, that kind of player?
Yeah, that is the name that we see all the time when it comes to Jeremy Sochan, saying that he's a Draymond Green type of player. And one of the things about Draymond Green is that he's only good because he's making the Hall of Fame off the coattails of Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, right? We all believe that Draymond Green is a good 3-point shooter, and he's just man. He's not the greatest 3-point shooter of all time. He's just decent. And when you take a look at Jeremy Sochan, should we abandon him being that type of player or that 3-point threat? You want him to at least be competent out there. He went from 24.5% to closer to 31% from years 1 to 2. If you get to 34%, you're respectable. 36 is where you want to be at the very least when it's all said and done. But can he get up there? Sure, why not? I mean, the shot form is not necessarily the greatest, but I think really the focus should be on his inside game. It should be on that 5-foot hook shot. It should be on finishing drives. We saw in the game against the Jazz, 2 or 3 times he missed a pass. He had 18 points, but it could have been 24 because he missed an outlet pass or whatever the case may be, a little bit of butterfingers. But as far as abandoning that shot, I don't want him to abandon it totally, but I don't want him shooting 6 3-point attempts a game. 2 or 3, fine. 1 will go in, but 6 a game, I think the days of that should be over.
Yeah, in the preseason, he's attempting, only about 1 a game. So it's all right. Again, he's just taking 1 a game in the preseason through 4 preseason games, connecting on 33% of those shots. So but if you switch to his attempts outside of the 3 line, basically he's taking nearly 10 field goal attempts. So I think at this point he knows where his bread and butter is. It's going to be inside the 3 line, around the rim, around the paint, and just do what you got to do. And if he wants to improve, and I think he will, and I think he does want to, and I think this is where his point guard time will kick in. Maybe just be a better facilitator. Right now, 2 assists per game in the preseason. If he can get that up to about like 2.5, 3, I think he's just. I mean that's where he can make a big leap there. We know he can score. We know he can rebound. We know he can be an irritant, but he can facilitate a little bit better. Jimenez, I'll take that as well.
Yeah, I'd much rather him focus on finishing the breaks. He did a fantastic job the other day, and you saw him take Tyler Harrow to the hole, kind of faked him out, went baseline, and did a layup. You see that type of Jeremy Sohan, and I get excited about that type of player. I don't understand why they did you know, try to, put a ball in front of a square peg type of thing where they're trying to make him what he's not. Do what he does well. I would much rather see a Stephon Castle be a facilitator, see a Trey Jones or Chris Paul be a facilitator. I don't want to see Jeremy Sohan leading 3-on-2 fast breaks.
Yeah.
Now, if he's gonna be getting additional assists, I want it to be from top of the key type of thing where they, hand him the ball and he tries to use his vision for something. I don't necessarily need Jeremy Sohan bringing up the ball or initiating the offense or anything like that. I think Jeremy Sohan can be a talented player. We'll see if they keep him in doing things that makes him comfortable. So a lot of people reach out to me on social media who are like, well, we don't want Sohan down low because that's going to clog the paint for Wemby. I don't see it that way. I don't want to see Wemby down low by himself and 4 shooters on the outside. I want to see somebody down low banging bodies, getting offensive rebounds, and doing the dirty things. And who better on this team right now than Jeremy Sohan? I don't trust Bassey to do it. I don't trust Zach Collins to do it. I don't trust many other players to do that type of work. That's Jeremy's job. And let him thrive in what he does well.
Yeah, and what he does well is simply living in that paint near the rim. But man, if he could just get that little pop shot going, imagine him in a pick and roll situation. That's it. I'm good with that. If he could just do that, we're golden. And you see a lot of trends going the right way. Points per game going up. Rookie season 10.9, last season 11.6. Field goal attempts, they've gone up. His field goal percentage has gone down, but 3-point percentage has gone up. But then again, there's nowhere. How much more can you go from the bottom? From 24% his rookie season to 31% in his sophomore season. But again, the facilitating is interesting though, because that's where he has the biggest trend going up that way, and rebounding as well. From 5.2 rookie season to 6.4 rebounds in his sophomore season, 2.5 assists rookie season, 3.4 assists in his sophomore season. He's definitely one of the better defenders on the team. So I think that's where he's really going to have his bread and butter on the defensive end, just really locking guys down. Just being an irritant. Like nobody can slow down Luka, or guys of that ilk, but he definitely makes them work. So Jimenez, though, am I actually hearing you praising Sohan? Is that happening right now on Locked On Spurs? Are you praising Sohan?
I like what I see so far. I don't want to use the word praise yet, but really the praise, I hate to use the word praise because it's one of those things where we're all looking at the obvious. We're all looking at the obvious, which is Pop should have done this a long time ago.
Yeah.
And why wasn't that happening in the first place? If you want to call it praise, that's fine. We can call it praise, but I think it's me kind of nitpicking at Pop again because why was Pop experimenting with this guy when he never played point guard in his entire life? Like, what are the odds? Why were you experimenting on him doing 3-point shots at six attempts a game when he was never a 3-point shooter? You don't go to the NBA to learn new skills like that. You don't change your game up. You add to your game. You don't do a complete 180. So yeah, I'll praise Sohan for his efforts in the last couple of preseason games. He did very, very well, and he's an irritant, man. He's a nuisance out there, and I enjoy that aspect of his game. But really, it's me being frustrated with Pop, going, "Why didn't you see this before?"
Yeah, or even if you want to go that direction of experimenting with Sohan at PG, but there has to be a point where you see it's not working. And how long did they stick with it? Like nearly a month?
Probably about 2 months. It felt like 20 games.
Yeah, it was just ridiculous. I'm just saying you got to see it. You can't be that blind that it is staying working. And the numbers were staggering, just staggering, pointing to he should not run point. And they stuck with it. Maybe it was just to get better draft odds. I don't know, but last season's draft was not what next season's draft is going to be like. Nevertheless, it is what it is. They went away from it, and it took him a while, Sohan, that is, to get his mind right afterwards. It really affected him. It really impacted him. just running the PG spot. But hey, he has admitted though that it has taught him a little bit more all around game. But I don't think they're. I mean, if you're gonna experiment this year, Spurs just don't experiment with that. Hey, I want to talk to you about FanDuel. You want to go to fanduel.com right now. Hey, NFL fans, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So much when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You just got to go to fanduel.com right now. Speaking of fanduel.com, look, the NBA season is also around the corner. Spurs fans, time to have some fun with your silver and black on the court. The app is very easy to get, very easy to use, user-friendly, very intuitive. Make your picks, 1, 2, 3. Bet on parlays, bet on win spreads, totals. I mean, seriously, you can have so much fun with sports this sports season with FanDuel. Again, America's #1 sports book. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Another reason why you got to go to FanDuel when you place your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Go to FanDuel.com right now, America's #1 sportsbook.
Hey, what's going on? I'm Josh Dela Cruz from Blues, Clues, and You, and you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
At all. Yeah, I'm expecting Sohan to have a breakout season. I think he's going to really, really be in a comfortable spot now to really show exactly what he can do. And we're going to see it, man. I keep forgetting he's only 21 years old, man. He's just 21 years old.
But he's also towards the end of his first contract. So we can't look at him as being 21 years old. We have to look at him as a 30-year NBA player.
Yeah.
Whether he went 4 years to college or no years of college at all, they don't add extra years because you got drafted young. He's a 30-year player.
Yeah, and looking at other stats here, there's a usage rate. He's a career 19% usage rate. So the Spurs don't rely on him heavily, but again, they don't need to because he can, I want to say create his own shot, but just find ways to score or find ways to make an impact on the offensive end. We know defensively he'll be there. You're looking at his turnover percentage. That's gone up a bit in his sophomore season, 14%. He's opposed to 13% in his rookie season. But, for a guy that, is an irritant and gets under people's skin, minimal techs in his career, I think 6 in his career. That's it. So, hey, he's mixing it up, but doing it in a legal way, according to the NBA rules. He is Mike Jimenez of Animal City Sportscast. Make sure to follow him on X at MJ Acquired Taste and check out his show, which he's going to brag about in a few minutes. And again, as you can tell everybody, I am under the weather. I am not feeling good at all. You don't want me on camera right now. Trust me. You don't want to see the grossness that's going on right now. So that's why we are doing another audio interview. And the last two, again, the guest could not. It was a guest. They just couldn't make it for a video segment. But so it just kind of worked out that way. Jimenez, let's go ahead and look at some Spurs fan comments left on the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. And let's see if we can find some that are dealing with Sohan here. Let's see. All right, well, we'll get this one. Let's do it here. This is regarding Charles Bassey. It says, I've been waiting a whole year for this man to be on the court. Most people don't remember, but Charles is a shot blocker. That is from Blazin. Thank you, Blazin, for your comment on Locked On Spurs. You think Bassey will get heavy usage next season? I mean, he's playing behind Wemby, obviously. Then there's Zach Collins, who's presumably going to be the backup to Wemby. Bassey's got to get some minutes, right? And you throw in Mamu as well. Bassey's got to – I don't know. You think he'll get some significant playing time next year or just a bit of playing time?
Man, I don't even think he's going to make the team half the time.
Wow.
I just think that he might be the odd man out. I mean, it's you have 15 players on the team. You got 12 on active roster, and I'm looking at where does he fit? Because I can go down the line. Now, Bassey had some flashes a while back of showing competency on the basketball court, like you said, on the defense side of the ball, rebounding and things like that. But the Spurs have added some talent over the past year or so, from Harrison Barnes to Chris Paul to Stephon Castle. And then we saw the emergence of Mamu over the last year, where he has not only become a fan favorite, but he seems to be a Wemby favorite as well to play alongside of him. And he plays in the front court as well. Zach Collins is getting paid, what, $15-16 million a year to do what he does. So I'm looking at it and going, well, how many minutes are there for a big guy down low? And I don't see it. I don't see it. And I don't think Bassey's going to see much playing time at all if he does make the team.
Yeah, he'll be an adequate backup to the backup, that's for sure. But not I like him defensively. I think that's where he'll shine. But there's going to be some load management for Zach, considering his health issues. Wemby's going to get his days off. So we'll see how Bassey fits in. That's a good question there, Blazin. We appreciate it. The next comment comes from RMA Superfly. He says, to get minutes from Pop, you need to play good defense. And Branham just ain't got that dog in him on defense. His offense is as unpredictable as the weather. Looks like some Spurs fans are already turning their backs on Branham. But, you look at the preseason, he's giving you double-figure scoring. Just his shooting is so erratic. Branham is feeling he could be another odd man out on this roster, isn't he, Jimenez?
Yeah, very much could be. I mean, he was part of that 2022 draft. Spurs had 3 first-round draft picks that year when it came to Jeremy Sochan, Branham, and then you had Blake Wesley as well. There was about a 2-month stretch last season, I believe it was from like end of January to about mid-March, where Branham was on fire. And he had some really, really good games out there for the team. But you're right, offensively, he doesn't really bring it that hard. He is very, very erratic. Dare I say he's very reminiscent of a Lonnie Walker when Lonnie Walker was with his team. But he shot 34.7% from 3 last year, improved it from 30% to 34.7. So it's, respectable. If he comes out and can shoot a 36, 37% clip, then you can actually use him on the court more often. But you're right, defensively, he's not really bringing it these days. That's never been his game, even when he was at Ohio State. So as your listener was talking about, Pop likes defense. And we've seen first-round draft picks come and go. Lucas Samanic, remember when Lucas Samanic didn't hustle back on defense that one game? They basically, he was done, right? So there is something to be said about defense, but this could be one of the first-round draft picks that the Spurs have used recently that I don't want to say it's a bust. I just want to say it's just not a fit.
Yeah, maybe a change of address would do him well if he is going to be the odd man out, because there's a logjam right now that not only just the guard spot, the swingman spot. There's Barnes, there's Devin Vassell, there's Sohan, there's Castle. Then you switch to the guards. It's Castle again. It's CP3, Trey Jones, Blake Wesley. What's going to happen there? Even what if Riley Minix kind of sneaks in at the last minute? But in 3 games in the preseason, averaging about 12, 13 points a game. He's shooting. See, this is where it gets really kind of questionable here. 37% from the field and 23% from the 3 line. Mm-hmm. And he's giving you 1.3 rebounds and 1 assist per game and a steal. So he's definitely scoring in double figures, but his shooting is just all over the place. I do feel that. Go ahead. Sorry.
Joe and I joked on the podcast the other day that Malaki Branham is one of the few players on the team who believes he's open on every single play. He has this irrational confidence that he can knock down anything wherever he's at. And you'll see him on the game. You go like, "Oh, he had 12 points. Well, he shot the ball 12 times. He better have 12 points, And he's a volume guy. He's a streaky guy. Kind of reminds me of Lonnie Walker. Only Lonnie was better at defense. But you mentioned Stephon Castle. Stephon Castle's 6'6". He can play defense, right? And Branham is 6'4". So he's kind of an undersized guard on top of it all. I don't see him having a big future with the Spurs. Does he make the team? He might be one of those players. I mean, someone's got to go, right? Someone's got to go. And maybe it's Bassey, maybe it's Branham, maybe it's Wesley. It's interesting to see what the Spurs are going to do when it comes to all that, because the Spurs have club options on a lot of these guys. And, I'm interested to see which one's the odd man out, not only of the rotation, but of the team itself.
Yeah, I'm interested in seeing that too. I mean, I think it'll be some of the usuals for them on the roster right now. Your Boston Juniors, maybe Malaki Flynn. He has not been playing at all during the preseason play. So that could be writing on the wall right there. We're just looking at the tea leaves. But overall, it's good comment there by the fan there, because I think Branham, he might be the whipping boy for Spurs fans this upcoming season. I think he might be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can see it shifting that way. Hey, we're done talking. We want to hear from you. And basically, I got to go because I am not feeling well. We want to hear from you. You can let me know what you think on the Locked On Spurs YouTube page. Just simply going to YouTube and searching for Locked On Spurs. But Jimenez, before I let you go, we need to know what's going on with Alamo City.
Yeah, Alamo City Sportscast goes on from 10 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. Monday through Friday. It's me and Joe Garcia. The thing about it is that local sports talk radio goes dark on the local front from San Antonio Sports Star and Ticket 760 at 10 a.m. They go to national broadcasting at that time. If you want to hear local content talking about things like the Spurs and the Cowboys and Texans, Longhorns, Aggies, and all that, you can subscribe to us at the Alamo City Sportscast on YouTube. We're also live on Twitter. I'm at MJ Acquire Taste. We also come out on Facebook as well. It's a fun time. We do sports, pop culture topics, a lot of nostalgic things. And Jeff is typically on Wednesday. We call him the godfather of Spurs media. He's on with us to talk about the Spurs as well.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank you so much, Jimenez. And I appreciate you being flexible, knowing that I'm under the weather right now. And this just sucks. I hate getting sick. I can't stand it.
Change of weather. Every time fall and spring rolls around, I get sick, and I know that sometimes you do too, man. But you know what? Here's the thing, man. When you're sick, you call in from work for a couple of days. Back in the day, it was all about the Price is Right, and so I'm looking forward to some game shows in the future when I get sick.
I can't do that because I work remotely, so they're like, well, just cuddle up in your blankie there and drink some soup, and away you go. But nevertheless, Jimenez, we appreciate you stopping by here. And again, history made here on Locked On Spurs. Jimenez actually talking well about Jeremy Sochan. We got to put this in the archives, highlight it. Man, Jimenez actually talking well about Sohan. Who would have saw it?
Was it a flip-flop?
It's a little bit of a flip-flop. Yeah, it's a little bit of a flip-flop. But even Pledger talked about it. He said it's a flip-flop. He said it was flat out flip. You flip-flopping as usual.
Pledger's always after me, so I won't say anything about him.
All right. Well, thank you.
He won't catch strays. He won't catch strays.
Yeah. Like the stray you shot at him a few weeks ago on your show. That was rowdy. That was hilarious. It's like, where did that come from? Me and Joe were like, whoa. But another reason you got to go check out Alamo City, and of course subscribe to Locked On Spurs wherever you get your favorite podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Ken's 5 Plus app. You know where to find us. We'll be back next week. The regular season is already here, so we'll be getting you ready for that. So much more, recapping the preseason, all that good stuff on Locked On Spurs. Once again, thank you for having your patience with me as I deal with this freaking cold. Hopefully I'll feel better by Monday. We'll be back doing video shows. But for Mike Jimenez, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.